with the upcoming path Elation introducing a whole new mechanic that is very tied to a character's strength as well, today I wanted to make a video talking about how the Elation as a path and how the mechanic works is legit just gonna get better with every new Elation character. With the Yao Guang and Sparxie also being the focus of hype right now, there's a lot of not really understanding why the team might not be like the level that people expected it to be, and that directly ties into how the team does work, and today we're going to be talking about that. But first, I want to have a disclaimer, as Elation is like a whole new mechanic and the info is just really circulating the internet. Take this with a grain of salt because things could change. Once the actual full mechanic is in the official servers, that's when it will be finalized. So even though this is kind of how we do see it right now, it's best you take it with a grain of salt because there could be changes, there could be no changes, some stuff could be tweaked, we don't know yet. For starters, first you gotta understand stuff about Elation. So there's practically 4 different things you need to understand first. One of them is Elation damage itself. It actually ties into something else I'm going to mention, but of course these Elation characters are the only ones dealing Elation damage. The whole new form of damage that really focuses on the number of something else I'm about to get into. So Elation damage is a thing now, and what you do to increase that Elation damage, besides obviously when a character states increases Elation damage or just increases Elation, is something called Punchline. Punchline is the most important thing for these Elation characters. It is something accumulated by every single Elation character and all collectively will increase their damage. The more Punchline you have, the more damage your Elation skill and Elation damage is going to be. So roughly, the more Elation you have, the more damage you are dealing with Elation damage. These next things tie together as well, and that is the Aha mechanic and the Elation skill. The Aha mechanic, or the Aha instant, is where the characters will act and use their Elation skills. Currently, the ways to proc this Aha instant is just by the action bar. It does appear there once it acts, that is when it goes. Or Yao Guang specifically, she is able to force proc it via her ultimate. For Yao Guang's ultimate, unfortunately there's a fixed amount of punchline that is taken into account for it, but she can force proc it. And then the one where you are building a bunch of punchline, that is only going to be so far when it acts in the action bar. Now that you understand that, the next thing you need to understand is kind of the playstyle of these Elation characters. Of course, this is going to change depending on the character released. Like Yao Guang is more of a support, she doesn't really do anything special, she's just kind of like some form of buffing, some sub DPS, and then the Elation stuff. While Sparxie, on the other hand, is completely different. She is the brand new skill point hungry DPS, able to consume up to 20 skill points even. She actually has that bounce hit VIA, consuming the skills and getting the enhanced basic attack to do a good amount of damage. Her ultimate doesn't really do the greatest damage, but it's there. But her biggest source of damage is still the Elation skill. Even though she can do solid damage outside of it, thanks to how her playstyle is, the Elation skill is the core concept from what it does seem for these Elation characters. Of course, to fully confirm that, we're going to need to wait till more Elation characters release, but if both of them are already very reliant on that Elation skill, and it being the mechanic it is, it's very safe to assume that Elation skill and the Aha proccing is going to be the whole playstyle. You want to build up as much punchline as possible to get the best damage out of these Elation skills, and that's probably going to remain true for every single Elation character released. Now, why is Elation just going to get better with time? A lot of people are for some reason factoring in this Elation team right now because it's Yao Guang and then Sparxie, those two are a pair. They look at it and think that's the finalist team for some reason. The thing with Elation is the reason it's going to get better with time is right now the team is factually incomplete. Sparxie legit has a trace that allows you to get more punchline via her ultimate when you are using the number of Elation characters. 1, 2, 3, we don't have 3, so we're gonna have to wait for that. But the biggest thing is you gotta remember, with every Elation character, even if a character on a team doesn't like increase anything by the amount of Elation characters, the core thing, which is getting punchline, the more Elation characters on the team are going to significantly increase the amount of punchline you'd have with not having that many as well. Someone running a full 4 Elation team in the future is going to generate significantly more punchline than someone who is just running Yao Guang and Sparxie. So the team right now being Yao Guang Sparxie, that's 2 Elation, there's not a third one or a fourth one, so we can't really account for those. So instead, in the third slot would usually go Sparkle, because she's one of the best teammate, if not the best teammate for Sparxie, and then your sustain. Only half of this team is able to really generate any punchline and do the main damage, of course, while the other half is really just doing the role of 1, buffing the damage, 2, sustaining your team. In the future, we are inevitably going to get someone that is a buffer that is Elation, like a pure buffer. I'm not talking about Yao Guang, because Yao Guang's more of an enabler slash sub DPS as well. I'm talking like a full-on buffer. And then the biggest thing, which is going to be the biggest core concept, with an Elation Sustain. If there was, let's say, an Elation Sustain and we already knew about him and he was coming out in this patch, like theoretically imagine a 3-person patch. It's not gonna happen, obviously, thank God, but just like imagine it. Do you realize how significantly stronger the team would be with an Elation Sustain? Instead of 2, you have 3 Elation characters, and then obviously you gotta factor in what the Elation character would do. Maybe it provides defense shred, defense ignore, damage, I don't know. But now the biggest thing is you'll have another character that is going to accumulate Punchline, which is going to significantly increase the damage of your main DPS, being Sparxie, and also Yao Guang skill. And then lo and behold, if the Elation skill for the Sustain does a good amount of damage, there's that too. It's a consistent loop with every Elation character that's going to go in the team. That's going to increase the performance of the entire team just because of how quick of Punchline points you're going to be able to accumulate. I'm not exactly saying that every Elation character is going to work with each other. Of course, I am going to guess Sparxie is going to be your own main DPS, but there's going to be another DPS push, probably in the form of Yai, where she's going to have her separate team. My personal guess is the team is going to be Yao Guang Sparxie, Sparkle, and then a third Elation character, probably the Elation Sustain. And then the team for Yai is going to be similar, but there's going to be another Elation character. Very similar to kind of like the Aglia thing. Not exactly, because you don't always run Hyacine there, but Hyacine is a really good sustain for Aglia because she can keep up, she can freely use skill points on the team. But like using an example of Aglia with Hyacine specifically as a sustain, it would be Hyacine, who's Remembrance, Aglia, who's a Remembrance, and then Cyrene, who's Remembrance, and then Sunday. It's going to be a similar case, I think, with Sparxie, because Sparxie is going to be the main DPS, Yao Guang is going to be one of the Elations, then the Elation Sustain is going to be there, so that's a form of 3, and then the last one is going to be someone that is crucial to their playstyle. In this case, would be Sparkle for Sparxie. And then there's going to be a separate team, which is going to be similar, just like how you can throw on Hyacine and also Cyrene on the caster's team, but in that case, it's going to be a full team, where it's going to be Yai, Yao Guang, the Elation Sustain, and an Elation buffer. And then it would mainly be a buffer tailored towards them, probably providing stuff that's universal to Elation stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't affect the Elation damage. So probably vulnerability, defense ignore / shred, additional damage, whatever, so on. Nonetheless, the core point I'm trying to get at here is the fact that the more Elation characters we get, the stronger any Elation team does really become right now, because right now, again, we're stuck with 2. A third one is going to significantly jump the process of building up Punchline points, and really the whole playstyle for any Elation character probably is going to just be building up the most amount of Punchline you can to get the best damage out of their Elation skill. Elation skill is also so important because it's constantly a chain. Once the AHA procs, all these Elation characters will provide an actual attack, being the Elation skill. Unless they provide a character whose Elation skill is maybe just like full-on buffing, or maybe making it a turn where an enemy takes like insane more amount of damage. So not only is it going to increase the actual hit of these Elation characters, since more Punchline, more Elation damage, there's also potentially a chance we get an Elation skill that might not be an attack, or maybe it's an attack that doesn't do much damage, but it's mainly a supportive skill that again might increase the team's damage overall. Not damage dealt, because obviously that doesn't work for Elation, but just being overall damage. Like again, it can provide anything that does benefit Elation damage, once again, such as defense related things, so defense ignore shred, vulnerability on the enemy, so on. And that will significantly increase the Elation skill damage from someone like Yao Guang and also Sparxie, and then the future Yai teams as well if she is the focus. This is why I do think Elation, and not even do think, I know Elation is just going to significantly get increases with every Elation character released. Once there's multiple Elation characters and maybe 2 separate teams, maybe one character release is not going to work for the other and is made for a different team. That is inevitably going to happen as well. Or maybe they all just work well together on their respective teams when they're not focused as a main DPS, because obviously Yai and Sparxie are not going to work together if they are the main DPSs of their team, but maybe every character for those teams is going to work on either or team. We'll have to wait and see for that, but nonetheless, that is the point I'm trying to get at. Elation is just going to get significantly stronger over time, which is why I wouldn't judge the team as is critically. Like, of course, you can still really see like, oh, the team is performing fine despite not being complete. That's a really good sign. Of course, Yao Guang Sparxie, they have their own issues. Hopefully they'll fix them throughout the time of the beta, but nonetheless, Elation mechanic as a whole is really just going to get stronger and stronger with every character releases. So the more we progress to 4.x, the stronger it's going to become, not just from the characters themselves probably being good, but the fact that you can just generate way more Punchline with more than 2 characters, 3, 4, it's going to significantly increase the output. That does bring this video to a close, talking about why Elation is just significantly going to get stronger. If you did find this video helpful or enjoyable, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to my channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of Star Rock content. Check the description to join the Discord, and also be sure to comment down below what you think about all this. And see you later. Peace out.